I am really looking forward to Bethesda revealing anything about the next game in the Elder Scrolls series, and while I sit here and wait for it, I thought it would be the perfect time to take a look at how the games have evolved over the years, with each episode focusing on a specific mechanic or system. In this case, I will be talking about the character creator and how that's changed from Arena to Skyrim. It's not going to encompass every little detail, but I hope to go over just the generalities and point out anything it does differently or something I think is pretty cool about it. And naturally, this will include some of my opinions on each game's systems, and something that I like or dislike about a game may conflict with your thoughts on it, so that's okay. Let me know down below and we can have a conversation about it. Starting a new game in Arena presents you with two choices for character creation: generate or select. Option 1 allows you to generate a character based upon a set of 10 questions that will determine which character class best suits your personality. Based on how you answer these questions, this feature would follow the series in its sequels Daggerfall and Morrowind, and then be reimagined as the GOAT in Fallout 3, and the Ink Black test from New Vegas, kinda. All the scenarios can be found on Arena's wiki, which I linked down below. Option 2 allows you to pick one of the 18 available classes to you from a list. These 18 classes will be a variation or hybrid of a thief, warrior, or mage. Each has its own advantages or disadvantages in gameplay, like a rogue having access to heavy armor at the cost of less of a chance to land a critical hit. These classes would follow the series until Skyrim embraced a classless system. I love the interface of choosing your homeland, the races available being Nords, Khajiit, Redguards, Bretons, Argonians, Wood Elves, High Elves, and Dark Elves. No Orcs or Imperials, and something I never realized was that the Khajiits were not presented as bipedal felines in the first two games, more like an elf with some war paint. I did find mods that will turn all the Khajiit's sprite models into Garfield. Actually, I'm sorry, there's two mods that'll turn all the Khajiit sprites into Garfield, so that fixes that problem. The race you choose will influence your character's stats. All stats range from 1 to 100, with 50 being average. In this title, character appearance consists merely of just choosing between a handful of different face sprites, and that's about it. And then we're ready to start Arena. It's also worth noting a big difference with this game with the rest of the series is that it uses a more traditional RPG experience system when applying a level up to your character. What I mean is, by doing certain things in the world, you'll get experience, and then when you reach a certain threshold of experience, you will level up. And that's Arena's character creation. It's a bit rough around the edges, but it's still a massive accomplishment in gaming, and rightfully started the cult following for the series. If any of this interested you, I'd recommend going to manuals.bethsoft.com. All of Bethesda's game manuals are available there, and reading through Arenas and Daggerfalls is really interesting. They almost act like a D&D player's handbook for the world of Tamriel. They have stat blocks, bestiaries, character tips, and lore. They're pretty well done. 2 years after Arena is released, we would see a sequel in Daggerfall. The character creator in Daggerfall is a noticeable improvement on what was established in Arena, and that goes for a lot of this game's mechanics. There are the same races and classes available to you. You can pick your class the same way, either take another personality test or pick from the list. But there is one additional option from that list: custom. If you played Morrowind or Oblivion, you should be familiar with this option. In my experience, I've always found it to be the best part about those games. But Daggerfall is on a whole other level when it comes to this custom class generator. You get to choose your primary, major, and minor skills. You can adjust your hit points. This is the most in-depth character creator of the series, with you having control over basically every aspect of your character. It's the only game that allows you to redistribute your character stats. can have special advantages and disadvantages. This is cool, and this is all gets balanced out by progression. You can make a really strong character with all these abilities, but you will progress these skills much slower, or you could take some disadvantages that are bonuses for certain playstyles and progress those skills a little bit quicker. And the experience system in Daggerfall is one that the series would adopt for every follow-up title. Level increases directly coincide with class-related skill increases, so you practice your thief skills to become a better thief, and you receive level ups depending on the level of your primary and major skills. Another unique feature for this title is the career path. You can customize your character's background and influence your starting reputation, how different groups of people in the world are going to see your character. And this game also introduces a unique difficulty modifier based on your reflexes, basically giving you control over how fast the gameplay is. And this is also tied to your character progression. Morrowind was a game changer for this series. Its presentation is tenfold of that in Daggerfall, and was the first step to bringing the series into the mainstream popularity that we see today. Although it's not my personal favorite, it does have what I believe to be the best character creator system the series ever had. It drops you right into your character and incorporates the character building into some gameplay, basically walking around and talking to people, but it moves things along at a great pace, and you get the tutorial at the same time. Most of the options for picking your class are still here. You can take the same personality quiz, choose a class from a list, or create your own. This game also introduces birth signs, so Daggerfall had special advantages and disadvantages. A lot of those powers kind of get reskinned and recycled into these birth signs. And Khajiits are finally presented as the bipedal felines they should be. And orcs and Imperials are playable for the first time in the series. While not without its own shortcomings, Morrowind still remains an RPG classic, and out of the older Elder Scrolls games, this one is still really easy to jump back into. And I think it's one of the more unique settings for an RPG. The graphics aren't on par with what we see today, obviously, but the art design and the style of everything, it really stands out. And that goes a long way with, being visually appealing. The gameplay still a little bit rough around the edges, but it gets closer to more of like an action game. Oblivion is my personal favorite of the series, probably because when I first played it I was 11, but I do think it has the worst character creator of the entire series. While I do like the ideas it introduces, the long, boring tutorial dungeon is just the worst part about picking this game back up. You start off choosing a race, and now you have more options in designing your character's look than ever before, and traditionally I made a monster. The game then has you trudging through this dungeon, and how you solve the problems presented here is how the game will generate a class recommendation for you, so you can't take a personality quiz. The game's basically judging you off your gameplay, which I do like. Jumping into this game after coming from Morrowind, it just really shows how long and boring this tutorial is. So do yourself a favor and pull a pro gamer move and have a save file at the end of the dungeon right before you leave the sewer. So if you do want to just jump back into the game with a fresh character, you can load this up, make your choices, and play the damn game. There are a lot of great things about this game. The tutorial just isn't one of them. As far as mechanics go, this game does introduce skill perks. You start off as a novice, work your way up to apprentice, journeyman, expert, and finally master. Each of these has their own perk for that skill. So you do get a noticeable improvement. They are pretty substantial bonuses that you get, which I do like. Even though most of the leveling system in Oblivion is broken, it can be difficult to find a good balance between difficulty depending on how you level up your character. There is an efficient leveling system, but I find that way too convoluted, and detrimental to the game's experience. I shouldn't need to make up an Excel spreadsheet so my character gets a +5 attribute bonus. The difficulty slider is there for a reason. And to end on a more positive note, the quests in this game are by far my favorite of the series, and I do think it's where the guild quests and the Daedric quests kind of peaked. But again, I was 11 when this game came out, so that nostalgia hits a little hard for me on this one. Skyrim, it has a lot of the same problems as Oblivion. The tutorial is way too much on the rails, and it's basically unskippable now. The only thing you can skip is that wagon ride in the beginning, but you still have to play through the dungeon each time. And Skyrim, obviously, it streamlined all these RPG mechanics, and some of the choices are good, and I like them. You can't really make any mistakes when you build a character. Because this time around you only really have one choice to commit to, and that's your race and gender. So 2 choices, but you can change your birth sign at any time. If you play the game long enough, your skills are going to be maxed to 100, and yeah, you can't really make any mistakes in this game. I mean, there's still ways to optimize a playthrough for a harder difficulty, but again, eventually you're just going to be great at everything, so sometimes making mistakes are a good thing. I'm not saying you should be extremely punished for investing 40 hours in a subpar character, but when you make good choices too, you feel more rewarded for it. So I think Bethesda just has to reevaluate their systems here and look back instead of just introducing new things to take out old things. The Elder Scrolls series has evolved in a lot of ways over the years. If nothing else, this video highlights just how much the character creator has changed. And it also shows that the series has always given us a new experience, some being better than others, but I plan on covering the series more in videos like this and other ones. And I want to know what character creator is your favorite. Let me know down below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Goodbye.